Thompson. I am the programming director for the Fort Myers Beach International Film Festival. Thank you so much for joining in. We have a round of some amazing filmmakers doing virtual Q&As. Of course, COVID-19 sort of impacted the course of action for many festivals out there, but we're really happy to bring filmmakers closer virtually this year. And one of our selections of the 2020 Film Festival is a beautiful short film called A Bloody Mess. And I'm super excited to welcome her. Asis Sethi, I really hope I pronounced that right. We were rehearsing it before this, so I'm hoping I got it right. But let's bring her on. Hi.
Hi, Kyle. How are you?
How are you? Did I say it correctly?
Yeah, you were very close. Yeah,
perfect.
you got it.
I was so nervous. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk with us today. We absolutely loved your film, and we definitely want to hear more about it. So for those who are watching, tell us a little bit more about your film.
Sure. Bloody Mess is a short film about Varsha, who's a young South Asian girl who battles against her family's traditional beliefs surrounding menstruation, which comes with rules prohibiting her from having an open dialogue with her family and with her father about periods. And since she was a child, Varsha was always told that while periods are normal, but there are certain situations or certain things she cannot do while she's on her period, and which manifests in Varsha's mental suffocation. So the film depicts Varsha's internal struggle as she tries to strike a balance between respecting her family and also at the same time her own individual autonomy.
Wow, what an amazing and unique story. So tell us a little about you. How long have you been making films? And I also want to hear about what inspired this story, because it's such a great story to tell.
So I made my first documentary when I was in grade 5. I used to live in New York at that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I always wanted to make films. It's just I ended up in television somehow in front of the camera. But then slowly last year, I decided, you know what, I want to get back on behind the camera and start making films. But my first film was a doc, and it was the migration of jazz music from the South to New York City, and it won an award in New York State, and which was great for me. And after that, I did make a lot of documentaries. So I made documentaries and I made a 16-episode docu-series where I went to India to shoot all the historical Sikh shrines for national television here called Omni TV. And yeah. And then when 9/11 happened, I also made a doc about how it affected turban wearers in North America, and that did really well as well. And then I slowly shifted from doc to narrative. So this is my actually first narrative film. Fiction.
Your first narrative. Oh, yeah. My God, that's incredible. So I want to show, for those who maybe haven't seen the film yet or are waiting to see it at this festival, I would love to give everybody a quick preview of A Bloody Mess, which streams September 26th at 3:30. Let's take a look.
Please. This is not right. Mom, stop being so superstitious. Just try to understand. Wait a second. Are you okay? Should I call someone from inside? Yes. Please. Come in, maybe I'll find someone. Huh? She's not there. Huh?
Wow. And that's your first narrative short film.
Yes, it is.
It's incredible. So for you, what inspired that story? Like, what did you come up with it?
So it's a long story, but I'll try to shorten it as much as I can. But inspiration comes from being a woman and also experiences. And a lot of my friends, last year when 2018, my son, a South Asian entertainment magazine. So every year we are always on the carpet and we're covering every film that airs that screens at TIFF. So we were there and with a couple of my film friends covering TIFF, and we're like, you know what? We're always behind those barricades and we're never on the red carpet. So we want to make a film, and next year we want to bring it out and we want to be on the red carpet and people will be interviewing us. So we said,
Yeah.
yeah, let's go with it. And we all had so many unique stories from our own personal experiences that we wanted to share. So my sister is a writer and she's an amazing writer. So she came up with the idea. She's like, why don't we do a story or a short film on periods? And it's something that people don't talk about. So why don't we, bring that out and talk about the taboos, especially in the South Asian community, even though there are taboos that exist outside of the South Asian community as well when it comes to menstruation. What happens during what girls go through. So what we did to make sure our film was accurate enough and it did justice to the topic, we held focus groups with many girls from different ages, so ages 10 to 35, and we asked them questions and asked them, what was their first period like? Did they know whether or not they were on their period? And most of the girls said they had no idea that it was a period when they first got it. So they saw blood. A lot of them said they thought they had cancer. And
Oh yeah.
and
Wow.
and one story, that particular story which really stood out to us, was a girl told us that she was so paranoid, she was so scared that because she came from a conservative family, she didn't want to tell everyone. So she took her bloody clothes and put them in a plastic bag, went into her backyard, dug up a hole, and she was just digging up a hole for that plastic bag, and she was running away from home. But luckily and fortunately, her mother caught her on time, and she told her, you don't have cancer, it's just a natural bodily process, but don't talk to the other people in the household. So not your grandparents, not your father, not your brother, etc. And that's the first scene of the film. It's, you don't see the face, but it's someone who's digging up, and you also hear a voiceover in the background of a letter that a 10-year-old has written, which says, "Dear Mom and Papa, I think I have cancer, I'm sick, I'm running away, but I want you to know that I love you very much." So every scene from that film is inspired from a true story, from an interview that we did with so many girls.
Wow, that's incredible. So obviously I've seen the film, but I had no idea that backstory. So you guys did a pretty good amount of research to really, that's incredible. And it absolutely shows in the film. So I do have a question about the actors. How did the actors come about? Because the acting, one, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you find them? What did the casting process look like? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, a huge shout out to our casting, Annie Kashi, who plays the character of Aarti, the mother, and a huge shout out to MC, Maria Crystal, who's the lead actor, who is not even a South Asian. So casting for this was very, very difficult. I could not find a teenager who could do justice to that role. We had so many casting sessions. And then we narrowed it down to 3, and a couple of them were not available. And there was one more, but she said, you know what, I want to do this film, but I don't know if I can make time for it. And then when MC came, and she wasn't even a callback. It was the first audition. And as soon as I saw her, I'm like, you know what, you're the one. You have to do this role. And you know what, she had no knowledge about this, taboo. And for her, it was very challenging. But she took it on. We had so many rehearsals before the actual shoot. I remember she lives an hour and a half away from where I live. So we used to do Skype rehearsals. And with and Annie Kashi, who would come every day after work or whenever she would be free, we would be rehearsing, because it was so important to make sure that we don't mess up on any single scene, especially when you're talking about a topic which can be very, which has sentimental values, and it can also have some things to do with religion or traditions, and you have to be very careful when you deal with something like this and make a film on a taboo like this, because you can get a lot of backlash if you're not accurate enough. So we all of us had to do a lot of research, and the actors, we involved them in our research as well, and we told them exactly what every scene, every line meant, and we told them what the backstory for every dialogue is, so that when they do that dialogue, when they deliver it, they always think about that state and then deliver the dialogue. And a huge shout out to the father as well, Devanshu. He did an amazing job as well.
Yeah. They were all absolutely incredible. And it's interesting, talking about the topic, is one of my judges, I was just reading some of the comments from, when we were doing the reviewing process, and a lot of my judges really had sort of no idea of the background of this, of the story, and kind of like, the impacts that it has elsewhere. So they were also extremely well educated during this process too, which was awesome. So the whole film, how long did it take you to film?
Mm-hmm. So to film, we took 2 days. We actually had a 15-page script, but we took 2 days to shoot, and we cut out 6 minutes of the film. So we had to cut out 3 scenes, which I didn't want to, but when it was cut out, I was like, you know what, the film is much better without it. So, but it took us 2 full days to shoot, but a lot of pre-production, a lot of prep work went into it to make sure, especially because we had 3 different locations, and we wanted to make sure that, we can manage it, especially with indie films. Your budget is very limited, and you want to make sure every scene is like take 1 or take 2. You don't want to go on to take 7 and 8, so you have to keep moving. So we had a 2 full day shoot for it.
Wow, that's incredible. So what are you most proud about with this film? Like, if there's one thing that you were like, that's what I'm proud about, what are you most proud about?
It definitely started a conversation in our community. I went on many radio stations, local South Asian television stations, and talked about it. There were news articles, and people actually called me back and saying, they said, thank you for doing something like this. We can, because we're so uncomfortable about talking about something like this in our families, I can show my daughter your film and she'll know exactly what it is.
Yeah, so it's educating people, which I think that's amazing. Is that what you wanted to happen when you set out to make this film? Did you want to ultimately be this kind of this train to like help educate a bigger community?
Yes, 100%. With our films, every film that I make, it's either a women-related issue or a social issue that needs to be talked about, that is not being talked about, or it's something, that everyone should know, but it's not, it's not out there. So this was one of the main things that we wanted to get out in the community, especially, and wanted people to talk about it. Should not be, especially, not in just South Asian community. If I want to go to work tomorrow, but, I get my period in the night, I can't go to work because I'm in pain, I always end up, calling my work. I don't say I'm on my period. I say I'm not feeling well, or, I'm calling in sick. So because there's that discomfort, and it's not just in one community, it's, throughout. So I want to remove that discomfort. And that was the goal of this film, removing discomfort, starting a conversation about it, and just making sure that, it's treated as, it's a topic that's treated like, if we have a fever, we say it's a fever, So if I'm on my period, I should be able to say I'm on my period. I should not say I'm not feeling well or I'm sick.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing that it's going out and it's like educating so many people around this topic. Like I said, it educated a lot of my judges here at the Fort Myers Beach International, because we had no idea. So I think that's really great about filmmakers, is you have this opportunity to be able to give back to a larger community. I think your film is doing that amazingly. So congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You said you made your first film when you, how old again when you made your first documentary film? Is it 5th grade?
Yes, it was grade 5. And, at that time, we didn't have any editing software, so I used to edit with Videonics and do the manual dissolves and stuff.
Oh, man. I don't envy that at all, let me tell you.
I loved it. I still have them, so they're like pieces now. Yeah, I have it in my basement. Cool.
So if you could give your younger filmmaker self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't give up, because I remember, at times, in 5th grade, even though I wasn't like, I always thought, oh, I know it all. But I feel like if I went back and I said to myself, don't let me ask more questions, and let me say, and that I do not know it all. I need to learn. And that's something that I've learned throughout my journey through high school, etc. And now I'm like, I never say I know it all. I'm like, I'm stuck. Can you help me? So that has helped me so much. And this film is, I mean, the bar that we had set this film at, there's no way if I hadn't asked questions or hadn't asked, I've been able to achieve what I achieved.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic answer. So where can, for those who are watching, where can somebody find you on social media? Do you have a website? I think, a big part of the festival is building a community. And one of our goals here at our festival is just to bring filmmakers closer together and build those connections. I've met a ton of filmmakers on the festival circuit. And I still talk to this very day. So where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you? Give us the rundown.
People can find me on Instagram. I'm Asis.Sethi, ASIS.SETHI. And I'm also on Twitter, Asis Sethi, ASIS SETHI.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It was fantastic talking to you. I hope we get a chance to do it again sometime soon. But yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Uh-oh, we may have lost you there. Oh no. Can you hear us okay?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Internet
Awesome.
there. Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Well, I want to thank you.
Thank you. Oh no, we lost you again. Uh-oh. All right, let me see if I can turn this off right now. Hopefully we can get her back at some point in time. Looks like we had some internet connections there. But Asis's film, A Bloody Mess, is playing September 26th at 3:30. It's an absolutely beautiful short film, so please take a moment to see it. Again, my name is Kyle B. Thompson, guys. I am the programming director of the Fort Myers Beach International. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. There's my Instagram handle there. I got a couple more rounds of interviews coming up. Super excited to meet some filmmakers. But yeah, until then, we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.